Hello there, and welcome to Home Media Minefield presents Let's See What's Out There Plus, a weekly video stream and podcast currently focused on Star Wars Obi-Wan Kenobi, which is available to watch on Disney Plus. In today's episode, we are going to have a spoiler-filled conversation around parts 1 and 2 of this limited series, as well as probably spoiling other areas of the Star Wars saga as well. So you've been warned as far as that goes. My name is Keith Isles. I am an independent filmmaker and lifelong enthusiast of cinema and television. In fact, Star Wars is very much responsible for my passion for cinema and for the craft, for movies and the craft from the original trilogy. So as I said, we're going to have a chat around this today, but I'm not doing this alone. I am being joined by other people from across the galaxy. I am really pleased to be joined by the two hosts of The Comic Crush, which is another channel that you should check out here on YouTube. They specialize, as the name would suggest, in comic books, but of course talk very much movies as well. So it gives me great pleasure to welcome Paul and Liz from The Comic Crush. Hey guys, how you doing?
Hello.
Hello.
You both well?
Doing great.
Good.
Excited to be here.
Really good.
Good. Well, we're doing this fairly on. None of us have had the chance to talk yet because we've literally just watched the episodes right before doing this. So
I've got to confess.
Oh,
so
okay.
if I zone out during this, I apologise because I've been awake since 4 a.m.
Oh,
so
right.
I'm like 16 and a half hours awake now.
Yeah.
And at about 7 a.m. this morning, I watched the first episode.
Right.
6:30, 7, because I didn't realise it dropped so early. Because normally, you have that kind of long wait, don't you? But they apparently dropped them late last night.
Indeed, yeah. No, they dropped them. I think it was to do with the fact that Star Wars Celebration is on as well at the moment in Anaheim, California, and they wanted to try and I think give those fans that were going to that the opportunity to see it as well. So yeah, I never thought I'd say thank you Disney Plus for for doing something there, but yeah, I mean, we are, of course, as I said, we're going to talk about Obi-Wan Kenobi, but before we actually do, there has been some news this week as well. Just for anyone who's kind of new to this show, obviously, this is, of course, the first episode that we're doing on Obi-Wan Kenobi, but we have covered here on Home Media Minefield and Let's See What's Out There. Other shows, we've done the Book of Boba Fett, we've done a lot of the Marvel shows, all sorts of things. So please check that out on the channel. Consider giving us a thumbs up, subscribing, and if you hit that bell notification, you'll get notified every time one of these drops. So we're going to be doing this every week, but we've got a little bit of a format for this show. Basically, what we're going to do, as you can see there's a list of quotes from Star Wars. Okay, admittedly, they're nearly all from the original trilogy. Maybe I'm a bit biased, but it's just a bit of fun. As I said, we're going to have a look at what news is happening out there. We're going to talk about the episode, do a quick summary of the episodes. We're going to talk about the people involved in making the episodes. Then we're going to look at references, Easter eggs, etc., and our predictions and speculations. And then finally, we're going to get into what we really think of the episode, nitpicks, thoughts, and all that sort of stuff, and how you can get in touch with us. So there you go. That's kind of the format for the show, but it's very, very casual. We're just going to have fun here. But let's start by taking a look at some of the news with Here We Go Again.
Let me see what's out there.
So, big on the news this week. Obviously, as we mentioned, it is Star Wars Celebration out there. And we got dropped, I think yesterday, wasn't it? The first trailer for Star Wars Andor, which is a prequel to Star Wars Rogue One. And we got a date for it. It's going to be on Disney Plus on the 31st of August, 2022. How are you guys feeling about this?
I really like the look of it. I've only seen the trailer the one time. I think you sent it to me, or somebody put it into our thread. Maybe it was Paul. And yeah, it looks good. It looks good. Like I'm excited.
Yeah, I mean, I'm thrilled to get more kind of stuff that's in that sort of Rogue One vein, if you like. And I've kind of been interested in this for a while. Oh, Diego Luna, Latin lover there, great actor. That's just a shout out to my friend Julia Madrigal. She won't watch this, but that's how we used. That's what we used to call Diego Luna. But like I'm thrilled to see this. I think the trailer was kind of reminiscent with its use of kind of music of things like Dune and things like that. I don't know how you guys felt about that, or if you agree or don't agree, but it looks really exciting. And it seems to cover a huge period of time as well.
Yes, yeah, because in the trailer it looked like there were points where it deals with Cassian as a young, as a very young man. I mean, he's not an old guy, but as a kid maybe, and it kind of moves forward. And I believe the main part of these events take place about sort of 5 years before Rogue One, which is obviously immediately before New Hope, as we saw. And yeah, I mean, considering it's if you like, it's another prequel show, which is kind of, particularly if you've seen Rogue One, it's kind of, we all know where it's going. But at the same time, for me, the idea of a sort of espionage show set within the Star Wars universe, I can't think of anything more exciting, really. I mean, that's my kind of jelly. And I really liked Rogue One. Rogue One is, I've said on record numerous times that out of the Disney era of Star Wars, I think Rogue One is by far the best movie that's been released under that. And I like Diego Luna. I like the character of Cassian Andor, and I just think that there's something interesting there. I was also pleased to see in the trailer as well that Genevieve O'Reilly is reprising her role as Mon Mothma as well. So we're going to get that a little bit fleshed out. And it does make me wonder whether we might get some, if you like, live action crossover characters with Star Wars Rebels. I don't know whether any of you saw Rebels, but it's sort of taking place in the same time period as this. So I don't know whether you've got any thoughts on that.
Haven't watched Rebels.
Me neither.
Wouldn't be surprised though at all. I feel like they are slowly kind of just trying to draw all that stuff together and incorporate things from things like Rebels and Clone Wars and all that stuff that fans really love. And that would absolutely work in the context of the new Disney Plus series. So I'm sure people would go nuts if and this gives them a perfect opportunity to do it.
Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, it's an interesting era, isn't it? This part. So yeah. Sorry, Paul.
Yeah, I mean, it's. I guess it's one of the things that Obi-Wan brings up that I imagine we'll get into, but they're not really interested in the future of Star Wars. They're only interested in the past in a way, which is quite a weird thing for a. Star Wars came out in 1977, and it was a forward-looking, even though it's set a long time ago, a galaxy far, far away and all that, it's a forward-looking thing, but just rooted in really traditional elements. And it's interesting that it kind of keeps delving into its own past in a way, and even the past of the technology that spawned it, because they're not making things for cinema. It's, here you go. There's something on your TV screen instead. So, I mean, there's stuff you could talk about there, but I kind of, I think it's one of those arenas that stands up to this kind of internalized nostalgia, I guess. Do you see what I mean? Like, you know,
yeah. I mean, no, I understand totally what you mean. I mean, obviously, the medium of television with streaming, obviously, it's come a long way, you know, from the size and quality of our TV sets, you know, and the audio and the fact this is filmed in a 2:35:1 aspect ratio, like the movies and all that. I mean, they keep billing this as kind of a 5 to 6 hour movie, rather than, you know, an episodic show like The Mandalorian was, or Book of Boba Fett. And I think it's quite interesting because you're absolutely right. Star Wars did always look forward, and then interestingly, even George Lucas looked back and did prequels.
Yeah, no, you're totally right. You're totally right.
And we're in this sort of an interquel, really, because this is kind of a sequel to the prequels, but a prequel to the original trilogy as well. So we're in that, you know, which I actually think is quite an interesting. I know we'll get into this, but I actually think that's quite an interesting area to explore. And of course, Andor is going to be about 5 years ahead of where Obi-Wan is, right? So they're really fleshing out that timeline, aren't they?
And also, it's comic book continuity. Comics do this all the time.
Well, exactly. I mean, this is why I was keen to have you guys involved, because there's a lot of stuff that references things that have happened in Star Wars comics, which I'm sure we'll get into as well. And I just think you're absolutely right. I mean, I've been saying this for a while. Film and television has kind of caught, as the technologies evolved, and as the general publics and the fandom and whatever has started to accept things. I almost feel that the TV and film industry in the last 20 years has sort of caught up with what comics has been doing for decades, right?
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know, because I mean, serialization. I mean, you know, how far do you have to go back to trace the roots of serialized fiction? It's quite far.
Some of the earliest ever films were film serials, you know, which interestingly, a lot of them were comic book adaptations, you know, Batman, Superman, etc. And of course, as we all know, those film serials are what inspired George Lucas to make Star Wars anyway. You know, the Flash Gordon and Buck Rogers and all of that of it, right? So it is quite interesting how it's all connected and how it's all sort of circular in a fashion.
Yeah, and I say this neither as a negative or a positive, but just as an observation, and take from it what you will. But fiction eats itself.
Yeah,
and the degree to which it's eaten itself is quite interesting at the moment. And again, I don't know if it's a good thing, don't know if it's a bad thing. It's a thing. And, you know, we're in remix culture and all that. And, but anyway, sorry, I've...
No. Hey, this show is all about...
I've got off on a tangent.
No, this show is all about going off on tangents. That's fine. Liz, I felt like you had something you wanted to add there. Please.
Well, just when you mentioned that that you feel that the film and TV stuff has sort of caught up to what comics have been doing for decades, I think that just the technology and budget and all of that stuff have caught up to what comics have been able to do, because, you know, they're usually so high fantasy and everything, that, you know, now you can do things, you know, that previously, you know, it would have been so much easier to do with pen and paper, because, you know, it wasn't costing you anything. But, you know, now, I mean, they can churn out these shows quickly and have them look amazing. You know, and you know, it's now, you know, the technology has caught up, basically.
And in fact, I don't know if either of you read the Vanity Fair thing, the Vanity Fair special on Star Wars, but Favreau says, look, we can now do this in a third of the time, and it's why you're getting such a churn rate on them now, because the Unreal Engine which I believe ILM called, it's a different name, but the Unreal Engine is basically
stagecraft.
That's it. Thank you, Keith. Yeah,
the volume is the area where they do it. Yeah,
but that has made it possible to, and I actually think more films should adopt this technology.
And they
should adopt it as quickly as possible, because the things you're going to be able to do and the places you can go without going to them are I'm all for tactile filmmaking, but I genuinely think now it's come to a place where it's the acceptable simulation.
Yes. No, I agree. I mean, and other shows and films, well, I think some already have, but they will most certainly adopt it, because let's be honest, that's something that Lucasfilm have been doing as well for 45 years now. Is they've been pioneers for the technology of how films are made. And again, it's kind of that circular thing again. And I mean, the nice thing with what stagecraft technology does is it's kind of the perfect balance between, like you said, physical filmmaking, and green screen. And I know Ewan McGregor's been interviewed about this, and he said, obviously on the prequels, everything was done, particularly in episodes 2 and 3, more or less the whole film were done in green screen because of what George wanted to do and where the technology was at that time.
That was one of the things that made him hate it, right? He was just like,
well, yeah. I think Ewan's doing it. We'll get into this, I'm sure, but I think Ewan's doing an absolutely amazing job here. And that there are those who said, oh well, he's knocked Star Wars in the past, and I get it. I have to say, as an actor myself, I've been envious of Ewan McGregor's career, because we're about the same age. For the 25, 30 years he's been doing it, and he's had his whole adult life in this, and when you think about it, this is really his franchise movie. When you think about it, or his franchise character, should I say? It's not a movie, but it's his franchise character. Because yes, okay, he's played Renton more than once, but most of the films, and he's had, he's been very...
let's hold up for Trainspotting 3 first.
Yeah. But
I'm there.
but I think Obi-Wan Kenobi is that character for him that, well, he's coming back now 25 years later playing him, and it's weird because his age has sort of caught up with the character, if you like, because they sort of aged him up between that first and second movie, didn't they? So it's quite interesting, but that's a whole thing anyway. It's like, cool. All right, well, let's get into the show, and we'll do a brief synopsis of the 2 episodes. So you may fire when ready. Who's going first?
I guess it's me. I have to apologize. My synopsis, the only one I could find, was very short. But let's go for it. Jedi Master Obi-Wan Kenobi watches over a young Luke Skywalker and evades the elite Jedi hunters during his exile on the desert planet Tatooine. That's all she wrote.
Okay, and in
that's cool.
Yeah,
sorry,
that is it.
And Paul, do you want to elaborate on part 2?
Yeah, I'm not sure it'll be any longer. In part 2, Obi-Wan has to leave Tatooine to find a kidnapped Princess Leia, but is he walking into a deadly trap?
Oh, I like it. I think that's probably enough, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, that's what IMDb gave me.
Let me put it this way, Keith. It better be.
Well, you know what? The next thing we always like to do is thank the maker. Alrighty, so just to look at the production credits for this one, and we'll look at different talented people within the crew over the coming weeks. But essentially, this entire series has got one vision, one director for this, and it's Deborah Chow, who I think already is doing a fantastic job with this. Slight spoiler of what I think there. Deborah's credits go back to the early 2000s, where she did some short films and got some notice, and then has very much worked in television, miniseries and episodics with shows like Murdoch Mysteries, Beauty and the Beast, Mr. Robot, The Vampire Diaries, Iron Fist. She directed quite a number of the episodes of the TV show Reign, Fear the Walking Dead, Jessica Jones, Lost in Space, Better Call Saul, The Man in the High Castle. She did 2 episodes of The Mandalorian, and here we are as director for the entire series of Obi-Wan Kenobi. So fantastic. Good to see there. And then obviously there were a number of writers credited for these first 2 episodes, but showrunner for this series is Joby Harold, who has written some of these episodes and serves, as I said, not only as executive producer, but as showrunner overseeing the series. His writing credits, they go back. He wrote the film Awake in 2007, which interestingly starred Hayden Christensen. So there you go. It all comes around. And then he wrote King Arthur, Legend of the Sword. He was responsible for the screenplay of that and Army of the Dead. But he's since obviously become part of the PGA and worked as a producer on TV shows such as Underground, Robin Hood, John Wick Chapter 3, the movie, Spinning Out, and now Obi-Wan Kenobi. So again, some quite impressive credits there for Mr. Harold. And yeah, I mean, so far he seems to be steering the ship very well, I think. So, but we will in future weeks, we'll talk about some of the other creatives and talented people behind the scenes as well. So that's cool. Right. Time for a bit of fun then. It's time for some Bantha Milk Blue. Okay. And this is where we look at any Easter eggs, references, connections to other areas of Star Wars. Obviously, the whole show, essentially, for this is one big Easter egg and has loads of connections. But as I said, this is not going to be the definitive list. But I just wondered whether there were any obvious things that sort of jumped out to you guys and you thought, oh, yeah, that's a reference to this or a reference.
Are we talking about both episodes here?
Let's treat.
Yeah, we can jump back and forth.
Yeah, let's treat parts 1 and 2 as one thing, just to make it simple.
Right. Okay. Well, isn't the bounty hunter that gets shot one of the bounty hunters that pops up in Empire Strikes Back? I think. Am I wrong?
Well, I think if it's not actually that character, it's certainly a similar model of robot, right? Because I don't know whether he gets shot, but did he die? Was he?
I don't know, because Empire takes place much later than this, right?
I mean, that character there in the picture, he's I've got in the middle there is For Lom, which was the character from The Empire Strikes Back, and then obviously the shot there of the character from this episode. So and
I mean, I noticed you got the guy there from what cartoon series is that? Is that Rebels?
Yes, it is. And the reason I put that one up is that's a little bit of a question I've got, and I wonder whether you guys have any thoughts on this. So
probably not.
Well, we've got Rupert Friend playing the Grand Inquisitor in this, and quite a good job. It's definitely there's definitely references there to Nazi Germany and whatever, isn't there, and the tracking down of Jedis. But but it's interesting because obviously we're talking spoilers, and of course it's jumping right ahead to the end, but he appears to get a lightsaber in the gut from Raver. Okay.
Yeah.
But Rebels takes place after this. Yet that character is in Rebels. However, in Rebels, he is voiced by Jason Isaacs. And often they try and use the same actors, the voice actor. So it does make me wonder.
If Jason Isaacs was busy.
Well, yeah. Or is that a different Grand Inquisitor?
Different Grand. Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, probably. If, maybe that's just...
Maybe Isaacs couldn't fulfill his criteria. Have you ever heard about Jason Isaacs' criteria for picking roles?
Oh, go on.
One, do I like it? 2, do I need the money? 3, will I make a tit of myself? And apparently that's his whole criteria for picking roles.
Gotta love Jason Isaacs.
I do. I think he's great. But
no, he is great. Yeah, absolutely. But as I said, he voices him in Star Wars Rebels, which was obviously made a few years back now. So, like you said, he might not have been available at all. But it's interesting they've got Rupert Friend playing him in this. And the big question at the end of this episode, I guess, is he dead, or is this other one a different Grand Inquisitor? Who knows?
Right.
I mean, we know people can get cut in half by a lightsaber and still survive, right?
It's true. So he could be fine.
It
wasn't looking good for him, but
it's just a scratch.
Just a scratch, exactly.
I was concerned.
It's,
give me the first aid kit.
I told you we'd have some fun with this, didn't I? So there you go. Any other, while we're on the Easter egg things, any other?
Well, so the one actually you've got a picture of there, right in that opening scene with the kids doing the training, with their eyes covered. The way in New Hope he sort of gets Luke to do the same and feel instead of look.
Yeah. No, agreed. I think it was actually quite cool that we saw the events of Order 66 at the beginning,
and done much better here than they ever were. I just want to, like, in terms of, I don't know, because it's not an Easter egg, but who'd have thought that the best way to watch the Star Wars prequels would be in 6 minutes? At the beginning of this.
Absolutely.
The first episode. That was the best guy. It's like, wow, if only the films had been like this.
Yeah, I must admit, they did, props to them. They actually did a really good job of that.
Yeah.
6-minute prequel trilogy recap. Yeah.
So, yeah, we're not actually into the episodes really yet, are we? So
not yet. No, we're still on the Easter eggs. We're just having a bit of fun.
Yeah. Okay. There's remind me, because there's something I want to bring up about the younglings thing.
Oh yeah. No,
that might be relevant. Just a kind of supposition, but yeah, go on. Sorry.
All right. Well, we obviously have. I got a little picture there as well. We had, of course, because no Star Wars series can happen without a guest appearance from C-3PO, right? Played by Anthony Daniels.
Has he appeared in all of them? Like, has he popped up in Mandalorian yet?
Actually, to be fair, no, not in the shows. In all of the movies except Solo, yes. But yeah, not in every show. So that was a bit of a flip comment of mine there. But
no. I'm just, because obviously they're crucial to the original series. They are meant to be the access characters. Technically, they're the ones through whose eyes you see the entire trilogy.
Yes.
And then, to a certain degree, the prequels, and to a much lesser degree, the last three, right? So I mean, they're important to the whole thing, and I was glad to kind of see him on Alderaan. Like that was a nice, pleasant surprise. No R2 though.
No, surprisingly, no R2. But I, no doubt he'll show up at some point. I'm sure.
I hope so.
But and then a couple of other little ones. There was again, I couldn't really find any good pictures of this, but the toy that Obi-Wan leaves for Luke, and then Owen brings back and sort of throws it back at him, is a model T-16 Skyhopper, and we see Luke in A New Hope playing with that when he goes to the Tech Dome with 3PO and R2. So that's a little Easter egg.
That's a good one.
We also get a guest appearance in this. I was actually quite surprised. Tamara Morrison, who plays, of course, Boba Fett, but also played the Clone Troopers, appears as the clone trooper that's begging when Obi-Wan lands on the planet. So that was a nice little.
Okay.
Don't know if you picked up on that.
I didn't pick up on it.
That was a nice
I did think that it was like, that character. I was like, oh, is this someone I'm supposed to recognize? Like, I kind of meant to look it up afterwards and didn't have time to do that. But that's really cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then it's kind of an interesting statement on how the Empire treats its troops.
Well, yeah, exactly. It's well, I mean, there's a whole. I mean, I think I've not seen it actually, but one of the animated series that's come out recently or within the last year is called The Bad Batch.
Yeah,
and that I believe focuses on some of the clone troopers that are now sort of, dealing with the fact that they've been sort of made obsolete by. The new stormtroopers and whatever.
Yeah, because you get a sense they've gone back to like a fully kind of human. Well, not the clone troops weren't human, but human army. Because you hear the two stormtroopers talking, and one of them's female. So yeah, there is a sense that they've moved forward.
Exactly.
And that even ties into the next, like the final series of movies, because there's that whole thing with Kylo Ren wanting to introduce a clone army.
Yes.
Which is done as a throwaway moment, but yeah, it is there. So yeah. I guess it kind of has ramifications across the series.
Exactly.
Sorry, yeah, go on. I'm babbling. Go for it.
No, that's cool. And then the only other, the reason I put the picture, I mean, we'll obviously talk about young Leia, which was a bit of a surprise. I mean, I'd avoided all spoilers, so so I didn't see that coming.
Yeah, me neither.
But when Obi-Wan or Ben, as he introduces himself to her as, says that she's obviously very sassy at the age of 10, a bit like she grows up to be. But he says that. You really remind me of someone, and of course, that's the reference to Padme, right? From the original trilogy, or prequel trilogy, should I say? So, yeah.
I've got to say how they managed to get, I love how they managed to get that kid to kind of do. There's a couple of beats there where she does like a Carrie Fisher impression.
Oh yeah,
basically, and it's just like, oh, that is so cool.
Yeah,
but they managed to get that sort of sass in, which I really liked.
Yeah, no, I agree. I thought she was really great, and I totally bought. How fussy I am about whether I believe actors are younger or older versions, or whichever way. I'm quite particular about that, and in this case, I totally buy that this actress Vivian Lyra Blair, who's playing young Leia there, it could be a young Carrie Fisher.
See, I have a bit of trouble with the timeline here, because I can't believe, looking at the young Luke or the young Leia, that we're only 9 years away from them being.
Well, it's the difference between them being.
I think wasn't Carrie Fisher 19 when she was casting Leia?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. But I mean, it like in the Star Wars timeline, we're only 9 years away, and it's just like I don't see necessarily either of those kids kind of. I can't see. So perhaps they, I don't know. I think maybe they cast a little too young. Really,
she's supposed to be 10. She says that she's supposed to be 10. So
And also, I mean, between the age of 10 and 20, we do change quite a bit, right?
Sure, yeah. I mean, but you can see the beginnings of
we go through that weird
you're going to become, and
right.
yeah. Cheers for that. glad you're here to keep it on track, Keith.
But
But I just wonder if they didn't cast a little too, because the kids actually look young. I mean, I don't know. I don't have kids, and it's been a very, very, very long time since I was one, at least externally. So I'm not.
You crack me up, man. Okay.
I'm not. I'm not an authority.
No.
By any means. So.
I mean, there are obviously dozens of other Easter eggs in there for sure. But as I said, that was just a bit of fun. But now I always like to do a bit of speculation for the next episode. So depending on your point of view, we either call it "Never Tell Me the Odds" or "I've got a very bad feeling about this." So, guys, any of you guys want to jump in with any of this first? I mean, there's of course the obvious what's going to happen, but any of the more obscure what you think is going to happen?
I've got one. If you want to,
yeah, go.
I think it's going to be revealed. I mean, maybe it's already obvious. I don't know. I think that Reva is one of the younglings.
Yes.
I think almost certainly. And I don't know anything. I don't know if her character's ever popped up in Star Wars lore before.
The reason actually that in the Easter eggs I use that particular image of the younglings is because that is the one that I totally agree with you. I believe that is Reva, and I believe that her issue with Obi-Wan, she kind of blames him for
absolutely
for the whole thing, But
and I think that like the only reason really, because we all know what happened in Revenge of the Sith, the only reason really to show that moment as the opening of the show, not the actual recap, but the opening of the show, is that they're going to tie that up later on. Because nothing in Star Wars happens by whimsy or accident, does it? There's no coincidences in Star Wars.
Yeah. Definitely. I mean, they've showed us that she's force sensitive already.
Totally, yeah.
In the show, and she definitely has a beef with Obi-Wan and the other Inquisitors. She's of a different species to them, and they've referred to her as an outsider or a lesser or whatever they called her. I think they called her a lesser, didn't they? So I think that's a very likely theory, and I was sort of on the same tracks there. What about you, Liz? Have you got any thoughts on that?
I mean, like that actually was like, something that I also suspected. As soon as you start to see that she is like, she's got such strong powers with the Force and everything, I was like, oh, okay, that's because it was just kind of left hanging, right at the beginning. And we get that 10-year later jump, and I kind of kept waiting for it to come up again, and it doesn't. Except that it probably does, just by virtue of you see how powerful she is. And
can I expand on it as well a little bit?
Yeah.
I suspect that the others don't know that she was a Jedi, or she was training to be a Jedi. I think they did find her in a gutter. I think she kind of went on the run, and they found her in a gutter, and she knew that the only way to kind of hide the fact she was a Jedi was just to kind of lump in with the Empire. And I'll go even further. I'm not sure that Reva's plan is necessarily to kill Obi-Wan or see Obi-Wan killed by Vader. I think Reva actually wants to kill Vader. I think it's possible that actually she wants to use Obi-Wan as a sort of Trojan horse to get in with
that's interesting. No, well, because that would make it, because obviously, as we know, Vader during Order 66, you know, broke into the Jedi Temple and killed loads of the younglings, didn't he? Because you know, let's be honest, Revenge of the Sith was a dark film, guys. Everybody says it's a kids' film. It's like, well, actually, but
you know, sorry, go on.
But you know, we actually see that. So your hypothesis there would make a lot of sense, I think, because you know, we see that. The other thing is the role of the Inquisitors, which is set up in Star Wars Rebels, is, you know, and I think they explain that fairly well in this first 2 episodes, is to hunt down and extinguish the remaining Jedi, you know, that's out there. And yeah, so yeah, I think all of your theories there are absolutely sound. Yeah. And maybe, you know, when she says that she's doing this, you know, to make an impression or whatever, she could be talking about the Emperor there, not necessarily Vader.
Yeah.
Right.
Because don't forget, Emperor Palpatine, who, let's be honest, never died, right? But anyway, but yeah, he's still very much in power at this point. Yeah.
Right.
So,
yeah, I think it's interesting. You know, before we did the show, I was thinking about something I've been thinking about a lot lately, and is like redemption and redemptive arcs for bad guys, and just redemption in general, not just in fiction, but just you know when you're sitting there kind of idling away. And I you had that whole kind of trilogy where the end point is about the redemption of Darth Vader, of Anakin Skywalker. Okay. But I was kind of wondering, and again, I'm going off track, but like, do some characters deserve redemption? I don't think they do. Like, it's just like, oh yeah, look, we know you killed a bunch of kids, but hey, it's okay because you threw the Emperor down a mine shaft, you know, and it's just like, what? No. You still murdered a bunch of children. And I'm not sure ultimately.
I actually think that point will be a very interesting one to discuss about Marvel, actually, but that's a whole nother podcast.
That's I'd be curious to hear that. But I mean, I don't know that Vader as a character now, looking back on it, deserves any kind of, you know, I mean, obviously no Jedi in Star Wars gets to live happily ever after. They usually get to die happily ever after and just linger around as a ghost. But I think that some characters don't kind of deserve it. And I came to realize something, like that in that moment where Reva is talking to Obi-Wan on the cargo launcher, right, when he's hiding and she's kind of wants to smoke him out, and she tells him, you know, Vader, and he realizes, oh balls, yeah, hold on, Vader is, and she's just like, oh, you didn't know, did you? Like, you know, Anakin survived. You know, I throughout all the movies, you've kind of had this thing with Obi-Wan where you're kind of led to believe that Obi-Wan's greatest failure is not training Vader properly, like not training Anakin Skywalker to avoid the temptation of the dark side and not protecting him from that. But I came to realize something that I've never realized before, and maybe you guys were already there, and I'm just the idiot and I didn't catch up. But that's not. Obi-Wan's failure is not that he didn't train Anakin properly or that he didn't protect him from the dark side. It's that he didn't kill him. And that's the failure, is that he didn't kill him. And that kind of made me start to look at it in a different light. Do you know what I mean? Because you then, when you start to then look at Obi-Wan as a character much later on, when you have Alec Guinness and how he goes off and becomes this sort of very monk-like figure, it's because he's gone through that temptation of the dark side somewhere where he he wants to kill the now sort of adult Anakin Skywalker. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think there's something much darker going on in Obi-Wan than
you mean in what's to come in this series.
Yeah, I think like I only just realised it in that moment, and I was just like, hold on. Okay. And then that's the big failure. Is not that I didn't train him properly and blah blah blah. You know, all the stuff he told Luke in like Jedi and stuff is bullshit. I think that the real failure is that I didn't kill him, and that's the thing.
From a certain point of view,
he did. Yeah, okay, yeah. From a certain point of view, he didn't kill him. I think that's the failure. But I've only just, I guess. Sorry, I'm excited about the idea because I've only just gotten onto it.
Yeah, but the thing is, I mean, again, Obi-Wan's melancholy at the beginning of these two episodes that we've seen, part 1 and 2, is because he believed he killed Anakin, right?
Right.
He left him there to die and to burn, right?
But and he believed that he was dead.
No. But what I'm saying is the stuff that comes later.
So
between the
journey that we're on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry.
That's cool.
I didn't explain it very well, and I think a lot of that melancholy comes from actually, I did kill him, but I still failed to stop the kind of rise of the Empire, which is huge freaking thing. Is the Jedi did help tip the galaxy into oppression.
Yes.
So it's kind of a dual failure there. But I think for me later on that is going to be the big failure. Is that I didn't quite finish the job properly, right. And and still doesn't much later on. Like still doesn't. So much so that he has to acquiesce the job to Anakin's son. You know what? I'm too knackered. I can't be bothered to finish this off. You do it for us, will you, kid?
It's like that whole sort of joke thing at the end of Revenge of the Sith, when he goes to see Padme and she goes, did you find Anakin? And it's like, first I cut his legs off, and then I left him to burn in a volcano. Oh. It's like, anyway. Liz, I'm sure you've got thoughts on this.
No. I mean, like, it's an interesting thing, because do we actually know if they are even going to interact in this yet? Because I watched the trailer once. I don't remember if because
I mean, there is a poster that has a sort of image of Vader and Obi-Wan in a lightsaber duel, and Kathleen Kennedy has gone on stage saying it's going to be the rematch of the century.
Right. Okay. All right. So we do know for sure that they will actually, because I didn't know if that would ever, potentially mess up any sort of, timeline stuff for them to meet at this point.
Well, in the first Star Wars movie, sorry, I'm going to get into nerdism now.
Right. No, go.
So in the first Star Wars movie, in episode 4, he says, "Oh, it's strange. I feel a presence I've not felt since," and then that's all he says.
Right.
Now,
okay, so it keeps it vague.
Yeah, a couple of things. One, if he's talking about Obi-Wan, he never says when the last time you saw Obi-Wan was, and it wouldn't have mattered anyway because you've got no context for it in that first film anyway.
Yeah.
2, could have been talking about Luke.
True.
Because we don't know that he doesn't come across Luke in this, even tangentially or briefly. So there could be stuff there, and I think the good thing about that stuff is it's so vague.
It is
that when the writers look back on it, it's just like, well, actually, we can do this or we can do this.
It does change the context because, all of the sort of social media haters out there that, just sort of hate Disney and hate Lucasfilm, they've all sort of jumped on the bandwagon already. The other thing was that Vader says in episode 4, you know, we meet again at last, Obi-Wan Kenobi. The circle is now complete. When I left you, I was but the learner. Now I am the master. And he says only a master of evil path, right? But again,
that's still vague. Yeah.
It's vague, isn't it? Yeah.
And we don't know what's going to happen. I would love it if Obi-Wan gives him a kicking again. Like, I would absolutely freaking love it if he slaps the shit out of him once more, but still doesn't get to finish the job.
No, I mean, well, this is the problem with prequels again, isn't it? We know where it's going to end up. It's just how it gets there, and we'll get to that. But before we do, any other sort of, have you guys got any particular sort of speculations other than that one that we've just gone into, which I think is very interesting? I like that. But any other ones that you want?
I think the last. I think one of the scenes in the last episode is going to be Owen taking the Skyhopper toy from Obi-Wan.
Nice. Yeah, we have
from where we elaborating on what we were talking about earlier. I think that'll be a nice moment, and it'll be like all is forgiven, you know.
Well, we know he ends up with it, whether it's that one or another one, but he ends up with one, doesn't he? What about you, Liz? Any thoughts?
Any speculations? I don't know. I really don't know. Like I said, I just went into this like so sort of spoiler free, and like the episodes are so fresh in my mind that it hasn't really, you know, I haven't really had a chance to kind of wander much further than you know, just where we've gotten. So no, I mean, you know, I don't particularly have any speculations, except now that you've mentioned the you know, sort of you know, rematch of the century or whatever. You know, I'm quite excited for that.
Yeah. I mean, the important thing is you're enjoying the ride, right?
So, very much so. Yeah. Which we'll talk about.
Which we will. So I've got one. I will bring a slide up. I've got a couple of little speculations, but it's just my thing. So I believe we're going to see the Force ghost of Qui-Gon Jinn, played by Liam Neeson. I believe that will happen. Liam Neeson's already voiced this character in Star Wars Rebels for an episode. And we even had in this episode Obi-Wan calling out, or Ben, should I say, calling out, you know, Qui-Gon, and it was set up at the end of Revenge of the Sith. Yoda mentioned about this, and you know, reaching out and learning to make contact. So I do believe that at some point over this 6-episode story that we will get, I hope, Liam Neeson back as the ghost of Qui-Gon. I think.
And also, you know, it's probably better that Liam Neeson's a ghost, because at least now he doesn't have to worry about traveling home safely. Because literally everything he does, he's always on his way home and something happens. Like, the poor man cannot commute anywhere. Can't go by plane, can't go by train, can't go on holiday. He's constantly shafted by circumstance. So he's a ghost in this. I don't know how much trouble you can get into. You know, we'll see what happens.
I hope so. I'd like to see him, and I think that would be, again, a good moment of closure for the Obi-Wan character.
Yeah, and it's definitely foreshadowed in his dreams, the amount of times you see Qui-Gon, you know, in those little snippets of his sort of nightmares and everything. Yeah. So, and I think people would will absolutely lose it if and when it happens. Yeah.
Now, I think that will happen. The other things are more sort of little fun things I've got in there. So we obviously already saw Tamara Morrison as a clone trooper in the thing. I'm wondering whether we'll get one of the other characters like Commander Cody, or because some of them did survive. There were a few of those clone troopers around, and I just wondered whether you know, Ben or Obi-Wan, should I say, had a relationship with those guys. I just wonder whether we might see more older clone troopers in that. And then the last one, which is really just silly, but I was like, hold on a second, Ben's living in a cave. What happened to the nice little home he had in New Hope? You know, so I wonder whether by the end of it, he is going to have, sold enough enough crate dragon meat to be able to buy a little property.
It's the religious journey, isn't it? It's the 40 days, 40 nights, and except 10 years in the desert. And I think that again, joking about coming home, but that's what it will be. He'll go home, and that's the measure of sort of peace he'll find in himself, I think, and deservedly so.
Yeah.
I think one of the things I like about this already, and I had some issues with it, but one of the things I like about this already is that it retroactively gives weight to the how can I put it, the lessening effect of the prequels.
Agreed. Well, that's a really good point then for us to go into the next section, which is from a certain point of view. So yeah, let's talk about what we really think about. Now we've had a bit of fun with Easter eggs and speculation and news and all of that sort of stuff. Let's get into this and actually talk about how we really feel about this episode. So I talk a lot and you're the guest, so I'm more than happy for you.
I'm happy to let Liz go first because I've been hogging the conversation tonight.
Well, I mean, okay, let's just pick up from the the thought that you just put out there. That is what when they announced this series, and even the Boba Fett series and other things, I completely agree that that is what I have wanted, from these shows, is to dip back into that prequel mythology, and basically kind of redeem things about it that people may not have liked, the first time around, like even just Ewan McGregor reprising his role, 25 years on, I think is just so cool. Hayden Christensen reprising his role 25 years on, so cool. People complain about Hayden Christensen. They don't like him. They don't want to see him again. But actually, now that he's here, I bet you really, really want to see him again. I do. I'm super excited.
Yeah, I mean, I caught a little bit of an interview tonight. Well, in fact, I just watched a 10-minute interview they did at Star Wars Celebration, and Hayden Christensen is a vampire who hasn't aged.
Right.
He still looks like he's the same age he was. So, I mean, despite it, I guess the decision to step back from big roles obviously did him some good because he has not aged.
Looks
today,
great. Yeah. Good for him.
But yeah, I mean, sorry, Liz, please.
Yeah, I mean, well, not that that's gonna, actually reflect underneath his tons of makeup and
Well, even as we've already seen him.
Right. Exactly.
Great ending shot.
Floating in the back to tank. Yep. Yeah. Amazing. I just think that there's so much interesting mythology in those movies, whether you liked the movies or not. Of course, this is your chance to kind of take what you want from them, bring it back and tell really interesting stories, this absolutely seems to be, kind of the direction they're going with this. So I find all that really exciting and interesting.
Yeah. Now, what about you, Paul? Are you overall with this? How did you feel about this as parts 1 and 2 of a limited series?
So how many episodes are going to?
There's going to be 6. There's going to this is essentially like a 5-hour movie, if you are, because they're not quite an hour per episode, are they? But
50 minutes.
Yeah, well, I think the second one was like 38 minutes, wasn't it? It was quite a short one. Yeah. Okay, so I'm just going to go, and you'll have to just rein me in when you're ready, Keith, or Liz
no.
can. Liz has a lot of experience at reining me in.
That's true. Yeah.
So the first episode, too long. Like
what?
It's too long. But there you go. It was just the beginning. I loved the mood. I thought the mood was really good. I think that the villains, when you get to the Grand Inquisitors, they are a bit pantomime. And I know Star Wars is a bit kind of pantomimey, and it is a bit kind of boo hiss and all that.
Oh, but, no, it isn't.
Hey, go spot the actor.
I wish. Anyway,
you must have trained at RADA.
Yeah.
So, like,
is it time to rein him in, Liz?
Yeah.
Oh, no. Too late now, mate. You missed your chance. So, I just felt that, yes, it was a bit padded out and a bit bloated. However, I like the mood build, and I feel that the padding out was kind of almost necessary. I didn't like a lot of the action. I feel that the action was done too wide. I think for Star Wars, a more cutty kind of action works a lot better in the modern context, because, you know, it ain't 1977 anymore. And you can do a lot more in terms of your kind of coherent storytelling. And actually, you know, Deborah Chow, though, like, Deborah Chow is the king of this stuff. She is really good. Mm-hmm. I think she's one of the best directors around at the moment in terms of television stuff. And I say that just because I've only seen her television stuff. I've not seen any sort of film stuff she's done, if any.
And one can argue that this is really a movie, isn't it? This is a movie.
Sure, but if that's the case, the action needs to be a bit tighter.
Okay.
I mean,
what scenes are you referring to? I'm just curious.
I'm sorry, you had a 10-year-old girl outrunning three grown men.
Funny you say
like that was really bad.
I just wrote down, actually, that is because I'm all for us doing nitpicks on this.
Yeah.
And you know, I've not got much bad to say about this.
Right.
I will wax lyrical about it in a minute, but when you guys have had your chance. But the one thing that I didn't like, there was only one thing in the whole hour and a half or the 2 episodes that I thought was a bit shit, and that was the bit when the bounty hunters led by Flea,
fucking Flea, like
I
know.
But when they chase young Leia in the Alderaan forest, I just thought that looked really hokey and stupid.
Yeah.
It looked like something out of Home Alone.
I guess what you're watching. I guess it's different, you know, not to play devil's advocate, because now that I've kind of berated it and gone, I can't believe the 10-year-old girl outran 3 grown men, is I guess there's one argument to say that what you are watching is the kid's eye view of that sort of thing, and therefore and yes, the whole thing is meant for children. However, I think we are, you know, with this series and with a lot of the series, and definitely with the Andor series, you're going to be moving into a much more adult kind of vein, and therefore it needed to be a bit more adult. But would you have lost some of the audience if you put a child in too much jeopardy? We had a film that ended with a guy murdering loads of children.
No, that's true.
I don't know. There's arguments to be made on both sides. A bit clunky. So I found some of it a bit clunky, but that's not to take away from Chow as a director. I think she's amazing. I loved all the episodes that she's done so far of all the other shows. I'm glad she's on for the whole thing of this. Pantomime villains, I found them a bit too boo-hissable. And I did feel like screaming. Had it been later in the day and not 7 o'clock in the morning, I would have been screaming at the screen, "Dial it back, Rupert friend," because he was just like, he was practically going like this. And you know, it's like, come on, man, just fucking die, just a little bit, just dial it back. But the trouble is, all villains in Star Wars have to kind of go up against, you know, Vader, who.
Yeah. I was getting a little bit of a Christoph Waltz in Inglourious Bastards vibe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I guess.
Again, Nazi Jew thing, isn't it? But yeah, you know.
Yeah. So yeah, then you know, episode 1 was pretty good. I like the idea. It's the little touches I like the most. Like I like the idea of him stealing a little bit of food every day. I like the idea because every day, in a way, he's breaking the Jedi code anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because Jedis wouldn't be thieves, and I think that I like that. Like, it's almost like, okay, this is the acceptable way that I break the Jedi code because I've got to survive and all that. I liked the kind of getting into I like the Jawa stealing like his parts and then sending back to him. Like I love that. And any time you get Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan Kenobi being quite sort of wry and you know, amused by the fact that he's being robbed blind, and also it's this circle of, well, I steal from those guys so I can survive, and these guys steal from me so they can survive, and it's going back to the symbiotic circle of the stuff they were talking about in the prequels, you know, with the Gungans and the I forget what they were called, whatever Padme's race was. So it goes back to that, and I liked that. Getting into episode 2, you know, hey, if it's a crime-ridden planet, it's got to look like Japan. It's great, which I always find quite interesting. I have found lately that I've got a nascent interest in Japan that has kind of been rekindled. I've been watching, funny enough, a crime show set in Japan recently, and that's kind of rekindled this sort of very strong interest I used to have in Japan. But yeah, like, do they all have to look like Tokyo? I mean, I suppose the argument is Blade Runner.
Oh, very much. That. Yeah.
Well, I think that's what they're always kind of reaching for when they do that.
And then Star Wars Underworld, because a lot of that looked like abandoned ideas from Star Wars Underworld.
Yes.
I love the fact that if you live in a universe where magic is present and there's this weird religious order, and they can do essentially magic, that someone is going to come along and fake it. I thought that was utter genius.
Mm-hmm.
I freaking loved that.
I loved that.
Like, that was my absolute favorite thing from the episode, I think. Because straight away, I mean, the only trouble is I think they over-egged the pudding, and it's just like, yeah, you can tell this is fake. And I think from the audience's point of view, there should have been a moment of doubt, but there was never any doubt that, oh yeah, this guy's just this guy's just a con man, right? But I love the fact that you've got that. So you know, you live in a universe where you know magic exists. You absolutely know it exists because you know that these guys were around. And this guy comes along and goes, yeah, actually, I'm just gonna use a bunch of technology and fake it. So I thought that was a small stroke of genius, and I absolutely adored that, and it was my favorite thing in the whole episode. So yeah, it was a good one.
Mm-hmm.
I think episode 2 much stronger than episode 1 for me.
I would agree that I thought episode 2, you know, I actually really enjoyed both episodes. You know, I didn't have issues with episode 1. But I felt like episode 2, we're just really into the action, and, you know, we're into the, like, you know, the flow of it. You know, by that point, you know, episode 1 took a little, you know, it took a little while to to kind of get the ball rolling with, what's actually going to be happening, in the series. Like, you kind of had to set up all of his, his reticence and, his sort of, just the monotony of, the existence he's leading, out on Tatooine, and just the repetitive nature of his day to day. And I think that, some of the reason it felt slow at those points is because it's supposed to, because that's, that is what the rhythm of his life is like at that point.
Yeah. And also that's kind of the, if you like, the beauty of having the, if you like, the real estate of a mini series like this is the fact that you can actually let those character moments breathe. Whereas when you look at New Hope took time to get going and had those moments, but when you look at the rest of the films, particularly the prequel trilogy, they were so fast paced, weren't they? There wasn't a lot of time to let these characters develop in this way.
Although I don't know about you, but I was bored shitless during the prequel trilogy. I don't care how fast paced it was so boring.
Yeah, but it was all action. It was so action heavy.
Talk to me about taxation some more. Go on.
I mean, I'm not going to argue with you there because
But I'll tell you another thing I could have. Another thing I could have done without in this. Like, I did not need Theodore Rex on a fucking rooftop firing a laser gun. Like, so what was that? Dinosaur, like, go away.
Yeah, another exotic creature. Yeah.
Well, exotic. It's just like that.
Yeah. I didn't have a massive problem with that, but I know what you mean. But yeah.
Right.
Well, that's cool. I'm glad you didn't. I did.
But no, I actually thought the first I quite liked the pacing in the first episode. I really liked the way they kind of they built up to him eventually acquiescing to go and help Leia, like because he's really quite staunch in his refusal to help when that first sort of rogue Jedi approaches him for help. He turns him down, and of course that ends up having pretty sad consequences. And even when Leia's been kidnapped, and her father approaches and asks for his help, he turns him down, like
Well, I mean that's one of the things that I think they handled incredibly well here, because again, a lot of the criticisms that I heard when this show was, before we'd seen anything, when it was just, it's like, well, this is ridiculous. Why would Obi-Wan, leave Tatooine? Because we all know he was there to, look over Luke for 20 years or whatever, right? But it wasn't just that, he got the thing and then left straight away. It took Bail Organa actually coming to Tatooine to seek him out, and pretty much guilt trip him into doing it. And I thought, what a great bit of plotting. I love that.
What I loved about that so much is that when you watch A New Hope, and you see Leia, begging for his help, it's like, this actually cements like a relationship between the two of them that previously had never been brought up, and it like, I thought it was so clever to make this his adventure with the young Leia, and to build their relationship, and and give her a reason for knowing that he's the only one that she could ever trust and come to in A New Hope. I thought that was just super smart. And especially, when we actually get to the young Leia, and, I wasn't expecting, I think you guys said you weren't either. I wasn't expecting a plot line, featuring 10-year-old Princess Leia, but it was absolutely delightful. the actress they have playing the young Leia, I just, I don't think they could have cast any better. And I just not what I was expecting from the show at all. Like, but super smart.
And do you think it's interesting how Leia's story kind of syncs up with Reva's a little bit? Because they're both being told you're not one of us.
Yeah.
Right.
You're less than we are.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of thought that
that's
was
interesting.
That was kind of an interesting kind of
there was a bit of synchronicity.
Yeah. Thank you.
No, I agree totally. I mean, I think it sounds like we all like this pretty much. Nitpicks aside, but we pretty much like this. I have to say,
dinosaurs aside.
Well, I mean, I have to say, dude, dinosaurs. But no, I have to say that, I've enjoyed The Mandalorian. I have enjoyed that show. I've gone on record. I did a whole show on it. Slightly disappointed with Book of Boba Fett, if I was honest. I thought that was pretty much a missed opportunity there. And this is so refreshing because this actually, this feels like some really well-written Star Wars again. And I think from a writing point of view, everybody was worried about what was going to happen because Ben was on Tatooine, and if he had a story with Luke, then that would ruin a lot of continuity. And I'm obsessed by continuity, as you know, so that would have bothered.
But also, you do forget that you've met people. Like, I'm sure there's people I met when I was 10 that I don't remember.
Oh, of course.
Or didn't remember when I was 20.
But you can't have them have an adventure together and then,
No, that's true. That's true.
No, and also, I just think, what a good idea and what a refreshing idea to do this spin on it, because I never saw that coming, and I just think it makes perfect sense. He at the end of Revenge of the Sith, delivered, Leia to Bail Organa, and obviously Luke to the Lars, right? And the other great thing about this is, Mandalorian and Book of Boba Fett were largely set on Tatooine. Again, this huge galaxy that Star Wars exists in. Tatooine is always supposed to be the arsehole of nowhere, right? And we spend time on it. But in this one, yes, okay, we have to be on Tatooine, but we're on Coruscant, we're on Dayu, and we finally see Alderaan, and what a beautiful planet that is. Brings even more sadness to when the Empire destroy it in Episode 4, and all of that sort of thing. So I actually think, we've got some variety here. I really like that. I think the plot element, basing it around the kidnapping of Leia Organa and that being his mission to leave, makes loads of sense. I think the whole Inquisitors, it's kind of like, this is very much a chase movie. Let's be honest, it's a bit of a mystery and a chase movie combined, right? And the other thing I absolutely love, I really love this, is the fact that they've brought so many actors back to reprise their role, from Joel Edgerton is Owen Lars, but we've also got Jimmy Smits, obviously, back as Bail Organa. This is great. I'm loving that they're doing all of that. I just think it's really satisfying. I have to say, for me, this has really satisfied me as a parts 1 and 2 so far. I'm so on board, and I so enjoyed it. Enjoyed it.
Yeah, this was actually, I mean, of the series, I mean, if it keeps up, sort of the level that these first 2 episodes delivered, I would say this is going to be my favorite of the Disney Plus Star Wars shows, which I really do love the Mandalorian a lot. So I wasn't necessarily expecting for this to so easily sort of kind of blow past that for me. But it just has all the ingredients for me.
I don't know if it's there yet for me, but it's certainly getting there. There's a lot of things about the Mandalorian I love, and tell you one thing I did love. Speaking of symmetry, Obi-Wan going out to have his dinner outside the cave. What did that remind you of? Ray having her dinner outside.
Right, sure.
Yeah, the food that expands.
Yeah.
But that really brought that back for me. I thought, that was a lovely bit of symmetry. And even the music, because Williams has done the theme, he's using kind of some of that flute and stuff that he is kind of present in Ray's theme.
Natalie Holt's done the actual score, but
and she did fantastic stuff on Loki. No, she's a really good composer.
I really like I like the introduction of like new characters as well, particularly like Reva. Is a really really cool character. It's kind of hard to suss whether she's going to stay a villain, whether she's going to potentially become an ally. But I'm really compelled by her. I think the actress is just fantastic, and super cool new character.
No, I agree. Moses Ingram, who's the actress that plays Reva, is definitely one of the highlights of this show, I think.
She's great.
And I do like the edginess that she brings to it. I thought that really worked. Of course, Sung Kang plays the fifth brother Inquisitor, which justice for Han.
Yes, I was wondering where I heard that name before. So
amazing. From the Fast and Furious franchise,
because his name in that is Han Solo, isn't it?
Right.
So that's I'm glad you brought that up. Actually,
symmetry both inside and outside of the franchise. There you go. And to be fair about that whole symmetry thing and circular thing, Lucas all the time when he was interviewed back in the day said this. I actually think that these writers on this show are writing George Lucas style Star Wars.
It's weird how much they've I think they I think the people's reappraisal of the prequels has been interesting for me. I don't agree with it. I still think they're a hot mess. But it's been interesting, and also as someone pointed out to me, I can't remember. For a lot of people, that was their first Star Wars.
Yeah.
For an entire generation,
Right.
So that's fine. I'm not knocking that. That's good.
But what's interesting, Paul, is what you've said about how this feels like it's retroactively improving upon the sequels. Right? That I've heard that same comment and that same argument made for the animated Star Wars Clone Wars series.
Sure.
Many people said that thanks to that and the introduction of like the Ahsoka Tano character and all of this sort of stuff through that actually did do the same as well. That sort of retroactively made the prequels better because we got something that sandwiched between episodes 2 and 3, which when you think about it, for all the talking about the bloody Clone Wars, both in the original trilogy, right? When we get the prequels, we didn't actually get much of the Clone Wars.
No,
really,
we don't.
So I sort of think
have you guys heard about this sort of movement? Keep Earth out of Star Wars. Have you heard about this? Because I forget which creator it is. John Watts. So that's what John Watts has jumped ship from Marvel to do, is a Star Wars series that basically is a kid-led journey home series that's going to feature Jude Law, and people are saying, okay, you're getting too much into Earthbound genres now. Because they feel it's going to be like the fucking Goonies, but with Star Wars, and they're just like, no. So that's something that's kind of. Sorry,
We had enough of that in Boba Fett, didn't we?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't
Gang.
know. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, but look, the problem with the biker gang wasn't the biker gang, it was the execution of the biker gang, right?
Right.
It was how it was done that you didn't like, because it looked like they were riding around on Vespers. If they'd been riding around on something that looked like more like speeder bikes, we'd have all been okay with it. And I think the problem
I don't know. I think they were quite annoying as well.
Yeah, but I think a lot of it is down to the aesthetics, and because the aesthetics are a big freaking part of Star Wars, and I genuinely think I'm not making assumptions about how you feel about it. Sorry, Liz, or how you feel about it, Keith. I'm just saying I think as a generalized thing, a lot of it was down to the aesthetics, and yeah, I think largely it's going to depend how it's done, the execution. So the show is going to be called Skeleton Crew. And that's coming, I think, 2023.
And this is what he turned down Fantastic Four to do.
Right.
Do you know what? I've got a feeling he was just marveled out. Like I
mean, which is fair. I mean, although I'm really disappointed because I would love to see his Fantastic Four movie.
Yes.
But if he couldn't, I mean, the last film he did was like, Spider-Man No Way Home, which was basically, apart from Avengers Endgame, one of the most like highly anticipated films of all time, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, fair play if he needs a break from doing film, and he wants to do some television work instead. But
but I think Star Wars is a series that can stand a lot. Like it can actually stand up to a lot of kind of external references and a lot of external kind of influence.
Well,
and I think
it always has.
And let's not forget that Star Wars is a film comprised of other genres. It's samurai films, it's westerns,
it always has been.
Flash Gordon, Space Adventure, all that.
Yeah.
And therefore, I don't really have a problem with them going, oh well, now it's a kids show.
It can be. It's that being a fan. That one of the hardest things is accepting, and I think this goes for, whether we're talking about Star Trek or Star Wars or Marvel or DC, whatever, whatever, where there's fandom involved, and when there's a lot of material involved, different medias and everything. And the thing that I guess I have trouble with is you have to realize that some of this stuff it's not all made for us.
Completely.
And whereas a Cassian Andor show is really appealing to me, and this show, because of the story it's filling in within the saga, is a point of the saga that I'm very interested in. I accept that, but then I also am totally open to the fact that they might do other shows, other animated shows, other live action shows, even other movies that just might not be my Star Wars. And you know what? That's okay, I guess, if we've got
also Keith, I mean, personally speaking, I couldn't give a monkeys about the animated shows. I think I was talking to some mutual buddies of ours, Will and Joe, the other day, and they were kind of going to me, "Oh, are you going to do a podcast on Obi-Wan?" And I was like, no, not at all, because it's not usually the type of thing I do. But we funny enough, I think we'd already had the conversation with you, Keith, about guesting on this show, and I said, "Oh, we're going to drop in on my friend Keith's show." And they raved about the animated stuff, and I was kind of, maybe I should give it a go. But deep down, I just couldn't give a toss. But
Rebels is very good.
But I kind of don't care how it connects to the rest of the stuff. I just, I'm just not like, I just don't care. And I'm not saying it's bad, because I don't know. I'm just saying I don't care. And I think the thing that we all have to realize is, you only have to watch it once, right? All this stuff, you only have to watch it once. and then if you don't like it, you never have to go back to it again, and you can walk away from it. Like I've done the prequels twice now, apart from the first one, which I've watched about 3 times. And you know what? That's probably enough for me. I think it'll be a long time before I go back to the prequels, but I like everything else within reason. Last Jedi, twice, yeah, okay. Rise of Skywalker twice, yeah, okay.
Hot mess.
Force Awakens.
I rewatch Force
freaking
Awakens
times,
over and over.
yeah.
I do, yeah. I watch Force Awakens a lot.
But I'm also aware that the reason I watch it, I don't know if Liz finds this is finding the same thing, or perhaps you're finding the same thing, Guy. The reason I like it is because it's like that other movie, you know, ultimately. So, I think that sometimes you have to stealth the stuff in that you want to do. Like as creators, they want to stealth the stuff in. You know, ultimately, I think you can take or leave it. As with all entertainment, you can take or leave it. I hate the Fast and Furious movies, but I still fucking watch them. I still go back and watch them. They're a pile of crap. I still end up going back to watch them. But you know, you could learn to take or leave it.
But yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, cool.
No, that's cool. Liz, any? So I mean, I feel like we've only just sort of scratched the surface, really. But I'm also very aware of we've actually been going longer than these first 2 episodes of Obi-Wan.
I gotta say though, mate, that's all down to Liz.
Oh,
what is?
Wow. It goes on and on and on. And
yeah. Oh my God! Seriously? Yeah.
No, come on, Liz. I want you to have your say. So.
Well, I mean, you know, I just really, you know, I found it really super refreshing. You know, sort of post the Boba Fett show, which I really I didn't hate, I didn't love. You know, I think it really picked up for me in the last episode or 2 when it became The Mandalorian. You know, and then I liked it a lot better. This, I just, you know, I feel like this is kind of what I've wanted since they even, you know, started doing new Star Wars at all, since Disney picked it up. I feel like this is the thing I've wanted, which is like, okay, you know, they're taking ingredients that were established, you know, in the prequel films, in the, you know, original films, and they are, you know, doing something really interesting with it. Do I have a problem with the fact that it's, you know, set in the past? No. You know, I actually think that there's like really rich terrain for them to, you know, to like fill in gaps and deepen the mythology of all of it. I think, you know, what they're also doing at the moment is building their own canon, because like there's been so many other, you know, there's been novels, there's been comics, there's been, you know, every single type of, you know, of supplemental fiction, you know, to fill in gaps in the Star Wars universe over, you know, many, many years. And they have so much different stuff they can draw from, you know, that it's really neat to see them sort of like, you know, creating a new canon, you know, and, you know, sort of cherry picking, you know, characters and, you know, little details from all sorts of different things. You know, which, you know, I felt like all of that stuff, you know, kind of really came to the fore, you know, in these 2 episodes. And it also, you know, despite, you know, in addition to those nostalgic things, it managed to surprise me and introduce new things, new characters and, you know, and ideas that I wouldn't have thought of, you know. So I really, really enjoyed it. You know, cannot wait for the next episode.
Yeah. Now, I agree completely with you. I mean, this was the Star Wars that I didn't even know that I wanted. That I wanted, if that makes sense. I didn't even realize it, and I'm loving it. I've still got loads to say about it, which is why I'm kind of glad that I've still got 4 more weeks of not only enjoyment, hopefully, to get out of this, but this platform to be able to discuss and talk. And I'm, going to have other guests on and stuff to hear their say as well. But I'm really excited about it. And also, I mean, you're absolutely right. We are they are cherry picking from Legends, but they are building a new canon. And I think of you guys because of, your connection with comics, because I know there are quite a number of now canonical comics that are available as well, which sort of fill in even more gaps in these years and whatever. So
my understanding is all the modern Marvel stuff, so the stuff that started around the time Force Awakens came out, is all canon.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they've gone to great pains to make it fit between the films.
Oh, they've done all sorts of mad stuff. I know they've even done it so Luke Skywalker has a yellow lightsaber between Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. I mean, talk about trying to cram all those references and Easter eggs in there. It's like amazing. But
is that from based on the toys?
Yeah, because obviously that was the whole thing with the toys. There's a whole other discussion. But the fact that for ages, inexplicably, Luke Skywalker came with a yellow lightsaber, and you're like, what the hell? He had a blue lightsaber.
What colour's your lightsaber, Mace Windu? It's purple. What colour's yours? Blue. What colour's yours, Luke? Oh, it's piss yellow.
Exactly. But that's a whole thing. But no, I'm loving this. I'm loving what they're doing with it. I'm liking the direction. I'm liking the storytelling. I'm liking the casting. I'm liking what the actors are doing, and I'm excited now. Next week to see where this goes, and I just hope it sticks the landing. But I've got a good feeling about this, actually. So
same.
Let's hope. All right. So have you got anything else you want to add about this while you've got the floor?
No, honestly, I really, came away very, very satisfied. Surprised by how satisfied I was. Left on a great cliffhanger. With Vader there in the back to tank, and can't wait to see Hayden Christensen back in the role.
Yeah, for sure. What about you, Paul? You're still not 100% sold, but you're
no. I'm sorry. Don't forgive any ribaldry. I am 100% sold. Cool. I'm in there. As much as I take the piss, I am 100% sold. And in fact, the only reason I'm able to kind of make fun of it a little bit is because I really enjoy it.
That you're both, if you want to come on and talk about, more towards the end of the season or whatever, if you want to come on and do this again, have a bit of a retrospective on it. There's loads to talk about, so you're welcome if you want to.
Sounds fun.
Have us back on for the last episode.
Maybe
we'll close the circle for you.
The circle is now complete. Yes, indeed. Okay, so all right. So just looking at using the com link, where can people?
Where did you get that picture?
I don't know. It's on your bloody website, mate. I did say to you if you weren't happy with it to bloody let me know something else.
This is the picture I'm told I'm not supposed to put up publicly.
Oh, right. It's the one on the milk cartons, is it? Yeah.
Keith, if I went missing, no one would look for me.
So anyway, tell us about the Comic Crush, what you've got going on, and where they can find more.
The comiccrush.com is a website principally about comics. We are leaning more into film and TV at the moment. We've got a terrific guy called Rob Debb, who's been on some shows with us before, doing film reviews at the moment, and he's doing a terrific job. So you can check those out. I do the comic stuff. So there's lots of things about single comics and trades there. Now, of the YouTube channel, we are on a bit of a hiatus at the moment, and have been for a few weeks. So at some point, that stuff is coming back. I'm not sure when, but and in what form. But yeah, I'm on a bit of a hiatus. I'm just taking a break. Just principally because, as I'm sure you find, Keith, you can't do everything all at once, and it's impossible for me to read a load of graphic novels and write about them whilst recording a YouTube show. So
yeah.
I'm taking a bit of an extended break. Might be back in a couple of weeks
on social media, the Comic Crush, and
yeah. That's me at Comic Crush Pool, at the Comic Crush. You can catch me on any of those. I'm sure you'll be thrilled to do that.
I'll put links and stuff to all this in the show notes as well. And what about you, Liz? What's going on with you at the moment, and where can people get in touch?
Well, you can always find me on Twitter, which you've got my Twitter handle there, which is at Liz C. Jordan, which all of my social media is at Liz C. Jordan. So my Instagram and what have you as well. LizCJordan.com is my website. It is where I post any sort of writing or podcasts that I do. It's just sort of a little blog for me to put my musings about comic books and comics related to film and TV, all that sort of stuff. So that's where you can find my work there.
Fantastic. Yeah, go and check out that good work. Obviously, you're already here, so you know about Home Media Minefield. We hope you've enjoyed this. Please, if you have, give us a like, consider subscribing to the channel, hit that bell icon and stuff. As I said, we've covered other shows on this, other Star Wars shows. We've covered Star Trek. We've covered Marvel shows. We speak about various movies in different genres all of the time. Also, the main show does look at physical media, hence why it's called Home Media Minefield. And I do unboxings, reviews, comparisons, all of that sort of stuff. So scroll down and check some of the other work while you're here, please. In terms of some of my other work, I also have another YouTube channel called British Isles, which is EYLES, as in my last name. And there are the Urban Chiller Tales, which is an anthology of short films that I've written, produced, and directed. I'm in one of them as well. So check that out if you want to have a laugh. And I'm currently working on a feature film called Car Cam, which, as the name suggests, takes place completely from a car cam perspective. Interestingly, this weekend, I'm off to see Rob Savage's new film at Fright Fest called Dash Cam. Now, obviously, I'm slightly worried that it might be the same idea or a similar idea. So I'm going to have a look at that. Obviously, Rob Savage previously did in lockdown Host, which was a fantastic film. And I've unboxed and reviewed that as physical media on this channel as well. So please check that out. And if you want something that's related to Star Wars, I will also put a link below to something I did this time last year for Star Wars Day. And it's one of my favorite ever topics. I talk about the Star Wars radio dramas, which I have a lot of love for. They're not canon anymore, unfortunately, but they are certainly canon in my head canon for sure. And I was joined by John and Maria Jose Tenuto, who are a pair of authors, lecturers, professors, and they, over the years, I thought I had read and tried to learn everything there was to know about the Star Wars radio dramas. And you know what? They filled in lots of gaps for me. So it's quite a long conversation we have, but I'll put a link down below to that, and I implore you to check that out as well. So there you go. And that just leaves me to say thank you for taking time to be here today and listen to this and watch this. And please do check out. We are going to be, covering every week of Obi-Wan Kenobi. And thank you so much to Liz and Paul for joining me and being hosts today. Please go and check out their fantastic work over on the Comic Crush and like and subscribe and all of that good stuff.
Yeah, Keith. Thank you so much for inviting us on to do this. Like
fun.
Really, always lovely to come on. I know we don't get a chance to come on to your channel that often, but usually because we're really busy. But I had a lot of fun here today, so thank you. It's been wonderful to see you both. I've absolutely loved it. So,
Love having you on. Cool.
Thanks, man.
And thank you for tuning in, and we will see you next time.
Subscribe to Keith's channel.
Let's see. Oh, thank you. Let's see what's out there. Bye for now.
Bye.
Bye.